So welcome, Michelle Keating. So she is from St. Louis, Missouri. So that's kind of nice about this virtual setting that we're by default in right now, that we can connect internationally. And recently we had the Consortium of MS Centers national meeting, and Michelle Keating was the award winner of Florence Nightingale Award, which those of you who don't know who Florence Nightingale is, she's infamous for almost starting and creating the art of nursing. So she incorporated that whole aspect. Before Florence Nightingale, nursing was, in my opinion, a totally different profession, and she made it about caring with the heart and incorporating taking care of the whole person. And everything that Michelle Keating has created with her program, I think absolutely reflects that. So well deserved, and so excited to have you speaking with the members from my nonprofit, which is My Strength Wellness Program. And so a few little facts about Michelle, other than what I had mentioned, is she's a long time nurse of 40 years, and she retired from her RN job in the clinic, but she's still very much involved with the MS community and has been for a long time, serving as an injection medication trainer, and also as someone that you could call for questions. So she's been on the consulting side for a long time, and from personal experience, as she'll share, knows the day in and day out struggles of living with MS. And so she really brings this comprehensive just care for managing and helping individuals to live with MS, which I think is so important. So Michelle, if you want to share anything that I had missed, just introduction about yourself that you'd like to share with everyone.
Well, thank you, Lynsey. You forgot to share the way we connected is because Lynsey was the award winner for the Live Wise Award, which is also presented by the International Organization of MS Nurses. And I was so taken aback by the work she has done with this nonprofit, My Strength Wellness, and what she's doing in the California community for you all is amazing, and her wealth of knowledge and experience and her passion. As you all know who already know Lynsey, I've just met her, but I can see the passion that she has and the compassion that she has and the empathy. Even though she's not living with MS, she has a real way of wanting to connect and help you guys really be the best you can be. And so you're very blessed to have such a wonderful advocate. So I'll just say that right up front. So Lynsey and I have had a chance to chat, and as she said, what she didn't tell you is a little bit my professional background. Like she said, I worked in a setting in a local hospital for many years as an oncology nurse. I was a nurse navigator helping people with cancer. But I've also, for over 20 years, worked with people with MS, both professionally and answering questions, helping them with support, and then also, doing consulting work. So it's been a joy and an honor to be able to do that. And I'm so excited to connect with a new group of people with MS, because living with MS myself since 1981, yes, I am that old, and have had MS for a long time. I think the most important message that we each would convey to somebody new or somebody who's had MS for a long time is that though we were all different, there's always hope, and there's a way to connect and be positive. So that's part of my message for you tonight.
Amazing. I love that. That piece that you bring, that you have lived with MS for so long. You've struggled from a diagnosis to, the challenges that come along the way, and those being what we see on the outside and what we don't. And just, that I know is part of the message and the mission of my strength wellness program, is that people don't just need physical help, physical relief of the symptoms, or pain relief, or a medication, but also just that that counseling to go into a better place, to feel better, in a spiritual place, in a place of hope and joy, and to find the small blessings, and maybe they appear so minute, but to find those in the midst of the struggle, which is so important and what life is about. And you clearly have been able to find that, and now bring that into creating a whole program where you can spread that hope to others, I think is incredible. And Michelle and I were actually talking before we opened up the meeting to you guys attending, and both in St. Louis, Missouri and in California, we both found that there isn't a program like what we've each created. There's a lot of, there's a National MS Society, and there's, potentially other programs that involve, some exercise or education or other resources that are amazing. But as far as programs that try to reach your soul and create this entity of hope, they're very rare and hard to come by. And here we connected in this way. And I think it's just incredible. So when we had talked in the beginning, we thought, well, why not combine forces and bring this nationally, because it truly is what people need, and it's what makes you thrive as a person. So that brings me, I guess, to the next question, or maybe the initial, I guess, after introductions, is what the whole mission of MS Bright Spots is.
So our mission is really to empower, to inspire, and to educate people with MS and their care partners, and to also spark creativity and enhance wellness. So what we do is focused on those items, but the way we do it, and kind of unique to us, is the fact that we focus on positive role models. So one of the things that I found along my journey with MS is there are other people in the community that are living productive, healthy lives with MS, and they're ordinary people. They're not the paid speakers that you hear at the pharmaceutical programs. Their stories are great, but they've overcome challenges, and each one of us have gifts that we can offer to others, and it's really about finding those. So I think hearing from people, being empowered by ordinary people on this journey is so incredibly important.
Absolutely. I love that. I love bringing an ordinary person living with MS and, tell us how you have overcome the challenges, because I think that's a struggle, and how we can learn from each other ultimately. And know that it's not a fake or staged story.
That's right.
Right. And I know your journey has been interesting, Michelle, as far as like where you were at and where you are now. And, how have you incorporated your life journey with MS into creating your mission statement? Because that mission statement had to filter through you in creating that. And so, I'm curious to hear where your personal touch has been on that.
So that's a great question. So I will take you back, and those who are participating tonight. I'm sure each one of us can remember that day that we heard you have multiple sclerosis. For me, I was having a little numbness on my side, and then a few weeks later I started having numbness in my hands and feet. And I remember being a nurse for a few years, going to see the neurologist the first time, and I had resolved not to go back to my nursing books and say, oh, I'll just see what the doctor says. And the doctor turned to me during that time, and he said, well, what do you think's wrong? And I said, well, I don't know, maybe I have a brain tumor or maybe I have MS. And I remember when he looked into my eyes and he said, I think you have MS. And even back then, I remember like how, I don't know, how dismayed I felt, how much fear and anxiety, like what will the future hold? Will I be able to have children? My husband and I had been married a couple years. That was a question. Can we have children? How will I be affected? And, you know, those answers don't come easy for any of us with MS. It's a matter of time. And I was diagnosed before the days of disease modifying therapy. So that's obviously today. I'd be curious to hear from some of our participants tonight how long they've been diagnosed. But, you know, today we have 19 treatments I believe it's 19, I could be wrong, to treat the disease process, which has made such a difference. But unfortunately, by the time I started on disease modifying therapy, I was already starting to limp a little bit. Shortly after I started a treatment for MS in '93, I was starting to use a cane occasionally. And I took several different disease modifying medications along the way. But over a period of time, I developed a little bit of difficulty with my walking. I had trouble with my bladder. I had trouble with my bowels. And I had some overall weakness, spasticity a little bit in my legs. And I was getting to the point where, you know, I started with a cane, but then eventually I needed more support. And I was using crutches. And then I was always an exerciser, so that was important to me from the very beginning. I not when I first diagnosed, but early in my nursing career, when I went to work at the hospital, I retired from in '89. I was regularly exercising, and I would go downstairs or go to the gym at work, and I'd use the rowing machine or stationary bicycle because I knew it was important to me to try to do that 3 times a week. I didn't really enjoy it. It was just something I did because I thought it was good for me to do. And, you know, by that point I had 2 small children, so I was very busy. But what I found over a period of time is I felt like my walking ability was diminishing. And what I found was due to the fatigue and the weakness in my legs, I was needing to use an assistive device like a wheelchair. And eventually I got a scooter, but it took years for me to get a scooter because unlike most mothers of 2 small children, I was not a soccer mother. I had 2 girls and we always had a car. Okay. So I never had a minivan. And it was funny, when we first got our minivan in 1999, was able to, when I actually could get a scooter so that I could become more independent, which I would just tell you who are struggling with mobility, a scooter is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of independence. It's the same of any other tool that we use, a cane or a walker or a crutch. They're not a sign of weakness. They're just tools, and they're things there to help us maintain our independence. We want to keep moving. That's so important. So I just want to encourage you. But anyway, I was doing that. I continued to exercise, but about 10 years later, I was working at the medical center, and I was working with a woman who was a trainer who was helping our cancer patients. And I talked to her, and I had been through physical therapy. I'd been through a lot of serious relapses over a period of time. And a strong believer in physical therapy, believe me, really makes a difference. But anyway, this trainer, I said, you know, do you think I could maybe do the MS walk? And she said, well, of course you could. Well, I couldn't walk more than a quarter of a mile, you know, so I was like, how am I going to do that? But we started working out, and I did. In that year, I think it was 2010 or 11, I did the walk for the first time. It took me over an hour to complete the walk, but that set me off a journey of really looking at focusing on exercise as medicine. So I know for each one of us it's a struggle. You know, we struggle each day of how we're going to spend our time. But I think if we put exercise first at the top of the list and just start slowly and work your way up, it makes a huge difference. I was able to go to the Can Do program, which is sponsored by Can Do MS, and they taught me that, and this was a good thing, two things that they taught me that I would like to share with you tonight is, if you start out and you feel tired and you cannot do your exercise, you can't take a walk, you can't do anything, you can't do your yoga, you just say to yourself, I'm just going to do it for 10 minutes. And what happens after that 10 minutes? A lot of times you say, oh, I can't complete my 20 minutes or 25 or 30 minutes. It's just kind of getting started. The other thing was to remember that if you are totally worn out and you can't recover from your exercise that you performed, after 2 hours after you're finishing your exercise, you've done too much. That's just not a healthy way of doing it. So those were a couple of points that I learned, that even though we need to push ourselves and we need to move forward, something to think about. So long story short, I became more active in exercise, and I was exposed on a vacation with my husband in Colorado to a tandem bicycle. And it was so much fun. We got on the bike, and it was just a great adventure. And I also came home, and I frequently walk at a lake near my home, and I ran into somebody who had a recumbent tricycle. Now, this is a 3-wheeled bike, and he was showing me the bike, and he said, oh, you should try this. And I was like, oh, I'm not ready to try that. But over a period of time, I did try it. And now for the past 5 years, I've truly found the exercise that I love. For many, many years, I did exercise because I knew it was important for my body. But now I've found something, and this is what I would tell each one of you. You have to find out what works for you. A dear friend of mine has found her exercise, her primary exercise. Of course, we need all different types, but hers is yoga. And it has changed her life. So we need to focus on finding the right thing. But this has really helped me focus on people with MS, expanding their horizon. And that was the Nightingale Award is for people to go on a bicycling adventure, which I'm so excited next year in Colorado at a special shop that has nothing but adaptive cycles. And these folks will be working with us. But the focus of people with MS exercising and realizing we can handle these mobility challenges, we can do more, we can learn, has made me start these programs for Bright Spots, which include exercise. So now, of course, during the pandemic, we do them virtually. We were meeting at a community center. And of course, what do people with MS like? We love to work out, but we love to socialize, don't we? So we have our workout, and then we have lunch. So that's always fun, right? We know to do that. So now that we're at home, we can't eat lunch together, but we are meeting virtually. So we are offering fitness classes twice a month, and I would like to encourage people to join us. And we will be having one of our exercise classes this very Saturday coming up. And it's going to be with a trainer who's going to help us work with dumbbells and a playground ball, just something you might even have at home already. And it's mostly chair work. There might be a little standing, but it's really, you can do whatever you feel comfortable with. And because I'm in St. Louis, this is always really important, I'm on the Central Time Zone.
Yes.
So you have to remember that when my website says 11 a.m., that is going to be 1 o'clock your time. Okay, so that's a good time on a Saturday for you. You can have your lunch and then join us for exercise.
Yes, absolutely. And also, you know, what I'd like to do for the participants is, you know, send out, just kind of forward the emails that I get from Michelle, with, you know, what upcoming programs, and somehow, you know, I will try and link the two websites as well, so that you can access, you know, everything about her program, you know, what upcoming events she has, and things to share just through the My Strength Wellness website too. So, it's this whole idea of joining forces. And I think you said something, I mean, you said a lot of things that are key, that I loved a lot of what you said. Um, and I know it's been a struggle. You know, one common theme I've been picking up in these office visits, virtual telemedicine visits, actually, has been, you know, it's difficult when you're stuck in a pandemic. You can't go outside. Right now, it's triple digits in Southern California, and, you know, Missouri, it's nice. What'd you say, 81 degrees?
Today.
today today, but it's, you know, it's hard to exercise, hard to go out. Even if you go out at 7 a.m., it's already too hot. And,
Right.
you know, I'm picking up that this weakness is starting to set in, the balance is getting a little bit worse, feel a little bit weaker. And it doesn't help that the hot weather makes you feel like bleh all day. um, and so I love that we have the capability to do these like virtual exercises. And I think it's going to be extremely useful, just to have access to what can I do in the home, that's safe, and I can stay in air conditioning and keep the strength up, because that's what ends up falling behind. And this pandemic, I don't think is going to fully resolve for a while, to where it's easily accessible to go to a gym or go out to do physical therapy again. So I think that's going to be key. And also what you said about the perspective of using an assistive device, which I think is really difficult for a lot of people. But just, yeah, again, focusing on the positive of that, this gives me freedom to go further, and to walk more so I can get stronger, right?
Exactly. And you know, one of the things that came to my mind as you were talking was, especially right now, a very good friend of mine, who's been one of my physical therapists for many years. She's been working with people with MS locally, and she has an exercise class she does. Of course, they can't meet right now either. But this dear friend of mine has created a YouTube channel. It's called Chair Fit with Nancy, and anybody can access that channel. We also, MS Bright Spots of Hope has a YouTube channel, and all of our classes are now posted on our YouTube channel. So I encourage people to check that out. But the Chair Fit with Nancy, she is just amazing, and she has thousands of people following her. So if you've not tried some online fitness classes, Nancy does a lot of different things. She does a Latin dancing from a chair. She has a simulated yoga. I have to say simulated. She doesn't call it yoga, but it's kind of a yoga based. So there's so many things that you can do. I would encourage you to try that too, Chair Fit with Nancy.
Perfect. I love that. And I have, you know, if you guys are scrambling to take notes of all of these resources, I will make sure to send out, you know, just a summary on an email. And then also, I have, you know, fact sheet I can share even in this portal as well, towards the end of the talk. But I think it's, you know, the chair fit. I mean, it's nice because it sounds like there's a lot of different programs that fit different disability levels. So if you can't get out of a chair very easily, you, for whatever reason, maybe it's not the MS, maybe you have terrible back problems. I think it's great that there is chair yoga, so you can safely exercise, but keep those hip flexors strong, because that's the first to go, at least what it seems like, when I do my exams. So that take advantage of that. And, if you can stand up and do other things. So that's wonderful. So I'll make sure you all get everything that Michelle's saying in terms of resources, what you can utilize and their MS Bright Spots YouTube. It looks like I have a comment in here. I think it's a question, but correct me if it's more of a statement. It says, like school, live doctor visits seem to always be more informative both ways. Yes. Maybe like if we're going to be having, if it's going to be kind of like what do they call that? Where you have a virtual and an in-person, a hybrid. So, and I think probably for office visits, that eventually it'll be like that. And I don't know for wellness programs, do you guys have plans to move to like a hybrid format or?
Not right now. We've talked about when it gets to be the fall and it's cooler that maybe we could do some programs outside, like at a park. Again, my feeling would be it would obviously depend on where we're at with the virus, but probably a small gathering, socially distant, and we could do both standing, and most of our exercises include standing and sitting. I didn't want everybody to think it's only chair exercise, but that way we would have the ability to actually be outside. But again, at this time of year, right now with the heat, that's not going to be possible.
Right, right, exactly. And I think kind of the perks of this virtual setting being forced upon us, it gives the nice platform for when the weather is like this, and nobody with MS wants to be in this kind of weather outside. It just would not be effective.
Right.
And then also that we can connect our resources. I currently have our yoga therapist and physical therapist creating some videos that's recorded, and you can access at any point and combine them or separate them. And then you have Michelle Keating out all the way in Missouri, got classes going on over there. But I think ultimately, this virtual platform, it's create a lot of perks that I think it's going to ongoingly be beneficial even when we start to move into some in-person things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And please tell us about your evening that you have coming up.
Right. So we have what I call my signature event. So it's called the MS Evening of Hope, and it really began in 2014. And it's remained solid in that it really has the same focus I've mentioned in the mission, the inspiration, the education. So we have an opportunity for vendors to come, and this year that will be virtually. We won't have a lot of interactions with vendors, but it's an opportunity to get together with people with MS, and we'll be in breakout rooms for the first few minutes of the call. Then we'll have live music. We have 3 musicians who will be performing. And then we also have 2 speakers, and we're having this year for the first time a trainer who's going to do a little postural exercise with us. And it's going to be a wonderful hour-long program of just absolute inspiration. And the most fun part of this program, in my opinion, even though you're inspired by what people say, is the fact that each one of you who are at home can actually be a part of the sharing. So normally what we do after our speakers is we have a time where we go out with a microphone in the audience, and we ask people to just share a moment or two, a sentence or two about how their life has been impacted. And it's amazing after our speakers and our music, how people are so stimulated to be moved. We never have a problem. And we have a few people who are able to share just a little bit, and everyone walks away from the program feeling that they are not alone, that there are other people going through similar struggles, that we can move forward, that we can be hopeful, and that is what it's all about. So I am so excited that you in Lynsey's community can share this program with us. And what I told Lynsey is we've been able to take this program, Evening of Hope, on the road. We've only been taking it to one other community so far. That was Atlanta, Georgia. We were planning on going to Peoria, Illinois this year, but unfortunately the pandemic took us from going. We're planning on going next year. We're hoping to go in person. But I would love if you all attend this program this year and you see just the power of this program, that next year we could bring this to California and you could have a live person. It includes a free dinner. Of course, in California, I can't really provide your dinner this year, but next year when we have it in person, I will give you a free dinner to help really have a relaxing, beautiful evening. But you can have your dinner, after the program here in, this year, and then be inspired and say, we want that. We want to have something like this next year.
We would love that. I know I would. I got the goosebumps as you're talking about it. But I think it'd just be a true blessing, to have your inspiration, what you've, been called to do and how you're doing it to inspire others, and, just bringing it state to state, and to be a part of that and bring it to the MS community that I've come to know and love.